Everything is perfect.
To start with our traditional ISES karaoke show. So who is the first volunteer? No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so volunteer. I've just been asked to hold a speech. I wasn't prepared at all for this, but then I found a speech in my pocket, so I thought maybe I can use this one. So as you all know, this year, and especially this evening, we are going to celebrate the 10th EuroSun conference. And it's very nice, I get an applause, and I just really worked for one of them. No, actually when I started to prepare this speech, I asked myself, 10th anniversary, obviously it's about age. So a conference that turns 10 years, is that old or is it young? So to get an answer to this, I would first like to put a question to all of you. Do you know your age index? Okay, some of you know the age index, obviously. I was quite sure that probably some of you would know what their body mass index is, but I didn't expect anybody to know the age index. No, actually, when I first heard about the age index, I thought that it has something to do with how old someone is, but in fact, some of you may know, the age index refers to the letter H. For those who do not know the age index, I will try to give a brief explanation. The age index of a scholar or scientist reflects both the number of publications and the number of citations per publication. That's the age index. For instance, a scientist with an age index of 20 has published at least 20 papers with at least 20 citations each. This age index was developed in 2005 by a physicist named Hirsch. So this is where the H comes from. And therefore, this is one of the more recent indexes we have. It tries, as I try to explain, it tries to describe not only the quality, which is reflected by the number of citations, but it also tries to reflect the quantity, which the number of publications should indicate. Now, obviously, the H index depends strongly on the field, on the topic a researcher is working at. Therefore, last year, a correction function has been presented, which should be normalizing all fields of science, so that finally all scientists can now be compared in one ranking. So, finally, we now should really be able to find an answer to the question, who is the best scientist ever? Then those people at Indiana University in Bloomington that came up with this normalizing function developed a constantly updated ranking of currently more than 35,000 scientists. I didn't even know there exist so many scientists. That is based on queries that they made through Google Scholar. Then they have put the ranking on a website, and guess what? They called it Scholarometer. I'm not kidding, this website really exists. On this website, you can also download this Scholarometer to have an app on your smartphone. So anytime you would like to, you can look if something changed. And then they report that the feedback they get from scientists all over the world shows that today there is a real hunger for these kind of ranking. So now, who of you can guess who the world's #1 scientist currently is?
Stephen Hawking.
I have to disappoint you, it's not Klaus Fahn.
He's number 2.
You looked at me, so I had to say this. No, it's Sigmund Freud, actually, the psychologist. When I saw this, I was a little bit disappointed, because actually I was hoping to find a physicist to be on place 1 or an engineer. But it is even worse from a solar scientist point of view. The first scientist I found in this scholorometer ranking, that is the first physicist or engineer, ranked somewhere in the 20s of this ranking. But then we can be lucky again, because there I found Professor Grätzel. So the first physicist or engineer that we find there has something to do with solar energy, at least. But some really famous scientists that achieved some very helpful results and insights, like Albert Einstein, for instance, is not in the top 100 list. And somebody we know, who is called Darwin, made it at least to the rank 99. Now, while I was still meditating on this scholorometer ranking, then I found another homepage. And this homepage is offering a software that is called Publish or Perish. So, obviously, we really need this software. And I'm citing the homepage. The software is designed to empower individual academics to present their case for research impact to its best advantage. Again, Google Scholar queries are used, and many indexes are calculated and evaluated, like the H index that we know already, the G index, several variations of the H index, the average annual increase in the individual H index, and an H-weighted citation rate. And here this H-weighted really means H in terms of years and not in terms of the letter H. Now I could go on like this the whole evening, because I found a lot of other very interesting stuff. But basically this is leading me to some questions. For instance, I was asking myself, is this what really matters most today for a scientist? To do as many publications as possible and to try to have the best presence in Google Scholar, achieving high rankings with whatever index they use. If the answer would be yes, this could have some very interesting impact for the future of ISES Europe activities and also for ISES Europe conferences. In Germany there is a very popular TV casting show called Deutschland sucht den Superstar. That is, Germany is looking for the superstar, or I think in France it's called Nouvelle Star. You know it, Philip, huh? Something similar exists in many other European countries. So getting back to the interest in rankings, the question is, should we also come up with a casting show? For instance, ISES is looking for the super solar scientist. This would be at least something new. Now there is another question in that context. Do we have to expect something like a conference career index that tells scientists to which conferences they should go in order to most effectively increase their individual career indexes? Looking back on 10 ISES EuroSun conferences, the quantity part of such an imaginary conference index would be quite easy to evaluate, because we have all the numbers. For instance, we could demonstrate that we had about 4,000 participants, more than 3,000 papers, and the time that has been spent just for reviewing the abstracts and papers by hundreds of reviewers should be in the range of 7,000 working hours, which in the terminology of Horizon 2020 project applications would be something like 55 person months. But how would we evaluate the quality part of such an index? And now this part is more or less the more serious part. So, actually, I cannot give a comprehensive answer about the quality part of a conference, because this is a huge topic and we still want to have fun today. But I would like to share with you some of my own experiences. The first ISES EuroSun conference that I attended was in Copenhagen in 2000. Torben, you will remember this very well. And I was still a master student then, and guess what? I did not have a contribution, but I still attended. This is something that does not happen too often today, so this is really something we should start thinking about, if there is a trend and how we react to this. But for me, actually, in the year 2000, to meet those experts at the EuroSun, of which I until then only had been reading in some journals, and I thought these must be superstars. So to meet them and to start discussing with them to me was really something special. And I still believe that looking back now, it's 14 years ago, this for me personally had a long-lasting impact on my motivation and thus probably also on my career. And actually this had nothing to do with any kind of index, not until today. Now I believe that there are many other stories that could be told, very similar stories. And actually although I'm not so old obviously, I already have seen a lot of other young scientists appearing on the scene and coming to EuroSun conferences and starting to discuss with other experts in the last couple of years. And I'm convinced that they benefit from the scientific level that we have on the conferences and the discussions. And actually we do try hard to keep this level as high as possible. And also from the tradition of knowledge exchange and support of young scientists that is established in ISES. So, summarizing, since '96, the ISES EuroSun conference has surely achieved a high, although not in all respects quantifiable impact, but we also need to find new ways for the future, fulfilling the mission that we have, which is to reach 100% renewables for all on this planet, and I believe that ISES EuroSun conferences are and will be an important part to pave this road. So closing, I would say the EuroSun conferences are definitely old enough to build on a highly valuable tradition of scientific knowledge, but I hope that they are still young enough to adapt to the changing requirements that the scientific community has today. So that's the end. No singing, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so as Elimar said, we're celebrating the 10th EuroSun, so we prepared a little quiz. So it's not tomorrow for the master students, it's Saturday where you have to take the test, it's tonight. And we want to test your knowledge of 10 years or 10 EuroSuns and ISES Europe history. So we're going to pass the quiz around. And so each team, or each table is a team, and you can write in your answers and write the name of the people on your table. And whoever gets the most points can get a little prize from ISES. Okay, so there'll be dessert, and you can talk about the answers with your teammates and over dessert.
Das Mikro da oben. We thank you, congratulations for the great quiz. And as even you got only 13 of 20 possible points, you get the 50 years of history of ISES. You may distribute it to your table, maybe you can give some to the young guys over there. And yeah, thank you all for your contributions. And next year, 2 years, maybe you have another chance.